Ho, hello everyone, and welcome to Front End Chatter, Britain's most seasonally sarcastic motorcycle podcast. And, for 1 week only, potentially, depending on the technology, Vodcast.
Ooh.
With him over there, Simon Hargreaves.
And him over there, Martin Fitzgibbons.
What should we do? I mean, we could do sort of usual old bit of waffle, and I mean, we can't do racing, but we could do FECsac. But it sort of feels like this is obviously the last one of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up to Christmas, time of traditionally a time of festivity and jollity and fun. Obviously, slightly, somewhat hampered by recent announcements, and kind of no one's really going to get the Christmas they want to get.
No.
So you kind of feel like we should kind of keep this light and upbeat and positive and provide a kind of a distraction away from the miserable evil that's going on in the world.
Okay. So we should have a little horn somewhere we can press if we sense that we're getting a little bit too down and miserable.
Just have a little look at what's been going on. Have a look at something positive we can talk about.
Have you got some positive news?
Stuart Garner has been denied permission to appeal the previous ruling that says he personally has to pay back the missing £14 million to everyone who invested in Norton's pension scheme.
Oh, that's not much of a Christmas present for the poor old boy, is it?
I mean, it's broadly good news because it's kind of one fewer hurdle for him to get away without paying anything. Mm-hmm. It means you can't drag it through the time-consuming process of an appeal, or potentially the kind of escape card of an appeal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I don't know, to my understanding, it doesn't necessarily mean that any of those people who've lost their money are necessarily one step closer to actually getting their money.
Mm.
It sort of seems like it's probably one step closer to him potentially having to declare personal bankruptcy.
Yep.
Which, again, going to come as a surprise to no one, but I'm not a trained financial journalist. I have no idea what that means. I know there's different types of debt that you can and cannot write off with bankruptcy. Some types you can. I had a quick Google this morning. It seems certain types of debts are not. Interestingly, you will, quote, you will still be liable for paying debts you obtained by fraud after you've been discharged from bankruptcy. Now, whether that applies in these circumstances or not, I have no idea.
Probably to be determined by another court case, I would have thought.
Probably to be determined by someone more important than a bloke wearing a Santa hat in his bedroom.
But you would suggest that that's a certain amount of liability placed at his door?
Obviously, what you hope is that he can't just declare bankruptcy and get away with it. You hope that...
but that's what he probably hopes he can.
That's what he probably hopes he can.
Yeah.
And kind of what we all hope, I'm sure, is that this denial of permission to appeal this big £14 million thing. I think he's got away with some. I think he's been allowed the opportunity to appeal a smaller sum for some other thing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is still going to clearly drag on for a bit. And then it comes down to someone actually chasing him for the money again when he doesn't pay and blah, 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 blah. But
yeah. Do you think the current owners should bear any liability or responsibility? Obviously not from a legal standpoint, I guess. But from a kind of an ethical point of view, do you personally think that they should find themselves in a position, if Garner does declare himself bankrupt and there, no money is forthcoming after a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
Do you think they should put their hands in their pockets? Not saying will they, I'm saying do you think they should?
Do I think they should? No, I don't think they should, because I don't think they bought the kind of moral obligation to cover up the sins of their fathers. Okay. But is there a better use of £14 million in terms of buying good brand value and good PR and good status of that slightly tainted Norton brand than handing £40 million back to the people whose money?
Yeah.
Sorry, let's rephrase it. It's not the current Norton owners' £14 million that is missing.
No.
But kind of making right someone else's mistake is not their job to do, but it could buy them an awful lot of very good PR.
And that's the sort of PR they kind of would need, do you think? Or is the brand, do you think it's not tainted anymore?
I think the brand is tainted. But...
no, I agree. I totally... I'm asking the question, and I think, that's what that would be my advice. I mean, I can't remember, the parent company is... TVS, is it called?
Yes, in India, yes.
Not short of a bob or two. So obviously...
They have a few quid, yeah.
They have a few quid. So it would be a bit of a drop in the ocean for them. And the PR that it would buy them would be extraordinary. And the company, I think, needs PR. Because I must admit, I've been watching all the press sort of surrounding the new owners, and you can't help but being cynical. You just sit there watching it going, look, I'm trying to give these people the chance. But, it's quite hard to go, do you know what? Let's all jump back into that exact same problem that we put ourselves in the first place and go, yeah, Norton, hey, come on, fantastic British company, yeah. Completely overlook any sort of impropriety or, any chance Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So it just makes you naturally kind of, well, not cynical, but wary, I guess.
Wary, because it's so recent. It's still so fresh. I mean, it's still going on now.
Yeah, and that's just somebody sat on the end of a microphone or wearing a funny Christmas hat. That's not someone who's actually thinking about going out and laying down, I don't know, thick end of 20 grand on a bike?
Yeah.
You're like, not going to risk that, am I? But
here's the thing, right? Norton, as they were high-end, boutique, super expensive, artisanal, handmade, blah, blah, blah. You pay a fortune, you sell 3 bikes a year, and that's how your business model is. They hadn't yet got into the position of trying to be mass market.
Yeah.
Which is where they were kind of right on the cusp of it with those 650 twins, weren't they? Mm-hmm. That was hopefully... hopefully in all things being equal, that was going to be their breakthrough model. That was going to be their monster. That was going to be their bike that turned them from being bikes for posh blokes to bikes for the rest of us. And that is the point where they need that mass market PR, because there will always be a few blokes with a load of money who don't have great moral compasses in some cases, who are quite happy to say, hey, I'll spend 40 grand on a super bike if it, makes me feel good about myself. And they can probably carry on selling 40 grand super bikes to 100 people for quite a while, even with bad PR.
Yeah,
but they'll really struggle to sell 10 grand bikes to the rest of us, given the kind of public perception of the previous Norton owners. So 14 million quid could be an investment that will reap them a lot more than 14 million quid back in sales.
Yes. I would say so.
I'm not a business advisor.
No.
Moving on to some more good news.
Go on then. We've talked that one down.
Scooter sales are up over the year.
Really?
Despite the COVIDs and despite all the other badness going on, scooter sales are up 6% to the end of November. And moped sales are up 9%.
That is good news. That's encouraging.
If you look at all bikes 125cc and under, they are up over 10%.
Okay.
So they're up to this time last year, it was 38,700 bikes. Now there's over 42,700 bikes. So there's 4,000 bikes more that have been sold over the same time period, 2020 versus 2019. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm not going to bring that down by suggesting that perhaps that's within some kind of seasonal variance and we really need to be looking at a 10-year picture instead. And then, in fact, the overall trend is probably downwards. But hey, good. We'll take that.
I'll take that. Well, it's entirely possible and plausible and a cohesive, coherent thought process that people maybe don't want to get on the bus, and maybe people don't want to get on the tube, and maybe people don't like city transport. Maybe mopeds and 125s are, relatively affordable and certainly a lot less COVID-y.
Yeah, COVID friendly. There's a marketing campaign for the MCIA.
Motorcycles, they're less COVID-y.
Yeah, don't catch COVID, ride a bike. Fuck it, I'll take anything at this point.
Probably not best to have John Milbank do that piece right now, though.
No, probably not.
You'll struggle to breathe if you've got COVID. You'll struggle to breathe with a collapsed lung.
Partial pneumothorax. Anyway, good. Okay, well, that's a bit of good news then. That's on the face of it. Good. That's quite positive. Yeah, that's good. What about motorcycle sales? Down. Okay.
Well, unfortunately and rather predictably, bike sales over 125cc aren't doing quite as well.
No. Are they doing as badly as we thought they might? Or?
Well, how bad do you think they might?
You would assume the arse has been ripped out of the market from sort of, I don't know, from March to now. No season. But I know some dealers were quite sort of weathered the initial lockdown period and then had a bit of a bonanza when everybody emerged in the summer, like butterflies. Oh,
with all their furlough money and itchy fingers. Yeah.
And also the kind of the fuck it, the world is going to end, so let's just stick it on PCP now. So
I heard those stories. I spent most of the year hearing people going, wow, new bike sales are doing really well because people have got money and they've got time on their hands and they just want to go and make themselves happy and they're not spending it on holidays and people are buying loads of bikes.
Have you got the figures?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from January to November 2019, there were 63,700 bikes over 125cc sold. Now there's 53,970 bikes. That's 10,000 fewer large capacity bikes sold in the same time period. That's a 15% drop in sales.
Ouch.
Which, if you just want to count basic numbers and you think the value of a 125 is the same as the value of a 1200 GS, then overall powered two-wheeler sales are down about 5% in Britain this year.
5%.
But we're here to entertain, to enlighten. We don't want to focus on the negative, so we've got more good news in the electric world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
tiny,
tuning out,
but growing.
Yeah.
Total electric two-wheeler sales are up almost 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if you got a 50% pay rise. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. Well, no, I don't know. 50% of not much is probably still. Anyway, 50% up. So why? Well,
50% up. So from last year, it was less than 1,500 electric bikes. This year, there's well over 2,000. So pretty small numbers, but a big increase percentage rise. Right. Most of them appear to be in the kind of small capacity. They're not even small capacity, are they?
Very good, very good.
Small.
Charging
small
capacity.
Power
I
output.
don't know. Yeah.
Small power output.
Yes.
Yeah. So kind of anything up to about 5 horsepower, little mopedy style electric scootery things are up quite a big amount. So, there's some positives there. Positives, eh? Electric joke.
So you could, okay. So you could say sort of bikes that people tend to use for practical purposes, like commuting or kind of stuff for busting traffic and not having to go on public transport. Mopeds, scooters, and small capacity electric bikes. Those sales are up, but bikes, big stuff that's used for leisure and knobbing about on a Sunday, not so good. Is that kind of it?
That sums it up to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Not a shocker? Any of that not a shocker?
No, it's not. In fact, I'm surprised that the sales weren't more badly affected.
You're suspecting worse than 15%?
Yeah, I thought it would be down quite a bit more than that. So that's not too bad. Yeah, I'm going to take that as a positive overall.
Cool.
Oh, blimey. Have you got any other news?
No, I've done some more number crunching, though.
What numbers have you crunched with your new calculator?
Yeah, hang on. I can tell you about my 2020.
Okay. What numbers have you got in your 2020?
I finished the year having ridden 9,794.1 miles, which is 12% down on my 2019 mileage of 11,113.6 miles.
Wow. Okay.
I rode on just 104 days this year, which is a drop on 2019's 142. That's a substantial drop. That's 38 fewer days where I rode a motorbike.
That's not so good. We're not doing very well, but go on.
But my average mileage on each riding day was up to 94 miles, which is a solid increase on 2019's 78 miles. So I might be riding on fewer days, but on average, I'm riding further each day. So that's nice.
So what do you attribute that?
Really wanting to get out and ride a bike when I can.
Okay. Making the most of it.
And not commuting.
Yep.
And kind of going out and doing a bit more longer distance stuff.
Okay. That's good.
Even though I was riding electric for about a third of the year.
A third of the year? You're on electric bikes?
6,600 miles on petrol and 3,200 miles on electric.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that extra mileage then has come from the fact that you were testing the range of all these bikes, these electric bikes.
Maybe.
That could
Going the extra mile.
Going the extra mile to find out how far they'll go. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Okay, that's good. How many different types of bike did you ride?
Oh,
have you got that one?
Calculator out. And I rode 38 different models this year.
Okay.
31 petrol, 7 electric.
Mm-hmm.
Down on 2019's 51 models. 48 petrol, 3 electric.
Yeah. That's
so,
it's not been hugely, I mean, obviously it's completely kind of, it's a false kind of number, but it's not been too badly affected by COVID, I guess. I mean,
definitely a bit less going on.
Definitely a bit less going on, and the fact you do it for a living does skew it a little bit.
What about you then? I know that I'm obsessive nerd number cruncher about all this sort of stuff. How's your 2020 been? Do you think you've ridden as many bikes, as far?
Absolutely nowhere near. So
Really?
Yeah, I reckon I've done about 6,500 miles on the job. And then probably another, 1,000 or so, sort of general back to the shops, that kind of nipping to the shops and back, that sort of thing. So that's well down on you. Number of riding days, well, for example, I don't think I haven't got April listed at all. I don't think I rode at all. I think I went to the DIY shop in April.
Yes.
That was about it. In May, I think I rode once. I went to Sunny Honey, 60 miles. In August, I've just got 2. Yeah, I've got absolutely nothing. It's terrible. So I did most of my riding at the front end of the year before COVID hit, which was sort of 400 miles around the Peak District, and went to Spain on a launch. So I had to ride to the airport. I did 3, count them, 3 MCN 250s. How about that?
Wow.
In 1 month. That was a record.
Goodness.
And a few other bits and bobs. But overall, big trips. That's normally where I do my big mile. I haven't done over 1,000 miles in one go once this year.
Have you not?
Yeah, last year I did like 3, maybe 2, I don't know. Yeah, so it's, I've been to Scotland twice, but...
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of long rides in, but that kind of general day-to-day thing, no, I haven't been doing very much at all. It's really disappointing. I don't know how many models I've ridden, but again, I don't think it's anywhere near as many as you have. I think it's less than 20, must be.
Do you think?
Yeah. It's
funny how your perception is from the outside. When I look at what you're up to, it always feels like you're out and about. It always feels like you're off in the peaks here and in Scotland there, and then in Wales there, and then in Norfolk there, and then somewhere else.
Well,
I'm thinking.
I don't know where you get that impression. It's not like social media gives you a false impression of reality. It's all
the false narrative of social media is a powerful tool.
No, it's. I've spent a lot of days sitting around here, just sort of writing, kind of like like a normal job. The actual kind of fanning about on bikes, not so much. Which is a bit of a problem actually. It's kind of putting a bit of hole in my knowledge. I was noticing a couple of days ago, I was answering some questions on an email or something, or social media somewhere, and I just kind of people going, yeah, how does it compare to so and so? And I was thinking, I haven't ridden it. I've got no idea. I don't know. I've never ridden one. Excuse me, like the BMW S1000 XR, the new one. I've not ridden it.
Okay.
And so that was one of the bikes that people wanted to know about with the Multistrada V4. How does it compare? And I was kind of like, yeah, I can tell you how it compares to the old one. Going off my riding memory, but not the new one. So anyway, that's my New Year. I know we're not a New Year yet, but that's my New Year's resolution, is to work out a way of getting my leg over more bikes.
Good.
Yeah, I think so. What about you? Have you got any plans?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's the big trip. Like I didn't do one big trip this year. I didn't have one night away on a bike.
Oh, okay.
So, we had plans at the start of the year to do Mugello. Obviously, talked about that a few times.
Yeah.
And that obviously didn't come to pass. And I'm not planning to go and try and attempt that again next year. I think it's probably still a bit too early.
Oh, you're not going to risk your money in an investment for something that might not come off?
No,
you
learn a lesson on that one. Yeah. I'm not going to put another few £100 into that and not see that. But it would be nice to try and figure out a way. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed and everything else crossed, by kind of summertime, there'll be, a bit more riding going on, a bit more long distance opportunities, a bit more staying away, a bit less fear of the outside world.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think things will calm down a little bit in the summer. Have you got anywhere in particular? Where's yours? If you could, common question, isn't it? If it all finished tomorrow and you could strike off any distance, where would you go?
Here's the thing, though, is that all of the COVID year has really made me feel like I'm not creating enough opportunities and not doing the things that I really want to do, which is just taking for granted that at some day someone will work-wise give me the opportunity to go and ride the thing I want to ride somewhere. Whereas when everything goes into proper shutdown, it's like, no, you can't go anywhere. Then you go, oh, but I still haven't ridden the North Coast 500, but I still haven't ridden Stelvio Pass, but I still haven't ridden the Route Napoleon, but I still haven't ridden the Black Forest. What's it called? The B500, is it?
Black Forest Gatto.
I haven't ridden the Black Forest Gatto.
Yeah.
And you go, I just need to make it happen. I just need to pull my finger out and say I'm doing it and really do it.
Yeah.
And be more marketing types call it proactive, don't they? But be more active, be more, wanting to make it happen. So, I mean, if we could start with if I could aim to do a North Coast 500 next year, 2021, happy days. Happy days.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think. What did you do this year? Did you do the Rutland Rig this year, or was that was last year, wasn't it?
It was on the Scrambler 1200, yeah.
Time flies.
It does.
Yeah,
Isn't that the weirdest thing, right? 2020 has been the most unforgettable and utterly forgettable year simultaneously.
Yes,
like no one will ever forget what went on in 2020. It will be a byword, a shorthand for just a disaster. Yeah. And yet you ask me what actually happened day to day in 2020. It's like I sat in front of my computer a bit. I don't know. It all just vanished.
It did, didn't it? It just evaporated. Yeah, that is true.
Forgettable and unforgettable.
It will be, won't it? It's so 2020 is going to be, that'll be in the lexicon now. That's it. Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, the last couple of years, I've had that feeling that although I've had the opportunity to ride sort of big distances for the job, I've always kind of had that nagging feeling that I just want to go and do it, not for a job. I just really want to go for a ride somewhere. And I keep trying to plan it and talking to friends and with the air quotes and saying, right, come on then, we're going to go camping in Scotland and we're going to go in September. And it never fucking happens. Just doesn't happen because somebody drops out and then someone else says something else and then someone goes, oh, hang on, there's midges in Scotland and there's a video on the Twitter or something of someone getting attacked by flies in some bit of Scotland and everybody just drops out bit by bit and you're left standing there going, well, okay, I've got no mates.
Oh,
I'm not talking about you, by the way.
Little violin sound effect here.
Smallest violin. No, but you're right. I think there is a real... Maybe that'll be one legacy of this year is that next year people will be going, nah, fuck it. Do you know what? I am going to go and do this thing.
I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to go. This will be the year I go and make it happen because you realise that there are years where you don't have the choice to make it happen.
Exactly. Yes.
And also, I never went on track last year. And I know we've talked about this before. I know you're not that bothered about being on track these days, but I miss being on it at least once or twice a year.
Okay.
So that, again, going to have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Going to have to be positive and going to have to go and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, where would you ride? Cadwell? Any track that you particularly want to go to?
It's the weird duality of it all, isn't it? That when it comes to touring, I want to go somewhere I've never been before. When it comes to tracks, I just want to go same old place. Yeah, Cadwell will do.
Give me a comfort zone. I want something
Cadwell
I know.
Do. Yeah, nice big fluffy comfort zone I can live in.
Okay.
What about the good? What about the good? What has been the best of 2020 then? What about best bikes and best road, best ride? What's your positives?
Positives. The Multistrada V4 is no surprise to anyone, I don't think.
Yeah.
That thing, I keep double checking myself and thinking, God, I hope it's as good as I thought it was. Otherwise, it's going to be really embarrassing. But that still was a highlight. That's something else. But you know what? Apart from that, which technically that's a 2021 model. So, do you know it's the Tiger 900?
Yes.
I think it is because not having ridden that many bikes, but the Tiger 900 I think was head and shoulders above them as something really innovative and interesting and different and good. As a package. Yeah. Put me down for one of those. So yeah, I
considerably more affordable than a multi V4 as well, I imagine.
Yes. Considerably, mind you, at 13 grand, it's for the Rally Pro. That's still pushing it a bit, but yeah, all the adventure bike you'd ever need. Awesome thing. What about you?
Well, I never got to ride that Tiger in the end.
Didn't you?
Which feels like again, you're talking about it. It's like gap in my knowledge.
Okay.
But I mean, the things that really made me smile and that I really enjoyed the rides on were all really weird left field oddball stuff. That
that's a surprise.
Sure, yeah. I hate to be predictably weird about it, but I mean, I had a great, riding the Harley Livewire around the MCN 250. The challenge of waking up in the morning and going, I'm going to try and go and ride 250 miles on this brand new electric bike today.
Yeah,
no one's done it. Let's see let's see whether it will happen.
Yeah.
Without the support crew, without the Ewan and Charlie, without the everything else. And just, no kind of very little planning as well, like having an idea of where charging points were and having a few apps on my phone.
Yeah.
But otherwise just going, well, it'll either work or it won't. Mm-hmm. And whatever happens, we'll write about it.
Yeah.
And the satisfaction of getting home just like 90 minutes slower than a petrol bike.
Yeah.
was like, crikey, I did not expect that. I was fully down for like getting back at midnight. I was fully down for it being a 16-hour day or something.
Yeah, pushing it home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then aside from that, when I went and found a nice quiet road and did a standing start, a 0 to 60 run on it, and just went, oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, my goodness, this thing is quick.
Yeah.
Real impressive. But would I spend 28 grand on one? Not a chance.
So was that the best bike of the year, or was that the biggest surprise of the year?
It was my favourite ride of the year. I'm not going to pretend it's the best bike, because if you're going to say best, then we've had this before, haven't we? Was the Panigale the best bike of the year, and was the blah blah blah? To me, best needs to have some level of relevance.
Well, yeah.
To the mass mainstream.
I just meant your favourite.
Yeah, probably my favourite was the Livewire.
Yeah,
which is really weird to say.
It's good. It's good that it's different. It's electric.
And it's electric. But I mean, if we're going to go real world, then the real world best bike I rode this year was the Kawasaki 1000 SX, the Ninja 1000 SX.
Oh, okay.
Which started off, I think I did the launch. I did the launch, that was this year, wasn't it? Back in February time.
And yeah, probably.
Within the first 10 minutes, you could feel that there was a big improvement in that all-important steering characteristic over the old Z. That thing, that weird low-speed tipping-in behaviour that had been blighting that bike for 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, long time anyway, through 2 or 3 different model iterations and 2 or 3 different sets of tyres. They'd never got it right, and then jumped on this Ninja and went, hang on, they fixed this. What have they? Are we riding launch specials here? Is this some clever bike they've put together and changed all the settings on? And then when you realise that for a relatively affordable sum, it also had the cruise control and the lean sensitive blah blah blahs, and it still had that gorgeous engine with just so much mid range, and it was comfortable, still comfortable and still looks pretty good. There's so much to like about a Ninja 1000. There really is.
There is a lot to like about it. Yeah, I mean, I had a real kind of brief go on it as when I was up in Scotland. And I remember thinking, it was funny because I jumped off the Africa Twin, which is so agile. I mean, that thing just turns so quickly because 21-inch front and all the rest of it. It falls over quite easily into corners. And then getting on the Z1000 SX to do some photos on some twisty corners, it was like steering a barge. I was like, God, they haven't changed this thing at all. And then it turned out that the rear tyre had squared off quite a bit. It wasn't completely squared off. It was just kind of lost its centre of its tread like they do after a couple of thousand miles. And it just made me think, is the bike actually different, or have they just put it on better tyres?